Hi, I'm Rick Myers. I'm sitting here with Graham Johnson, president of the BC Ferry Marine Workers Union. Been a lot of stuff going on the last few months, and I get a chance to ask Graham about some of them. So, Graham, let's first talk about the first ever Stewards Convention at Harrison.
Yeah, so our first ever Shop Steward Conference just finished up last week, and I'm happy to say it was a pretty big success. We were really excited to offer 4 courses. They included facing management, high conflict personalities, mental health in the workplace, and also a session on strategic planning, which allowed our members to lend their voice to the future of the union, specifically our strategic plan. On top of that, we also had the much vaunted labor historian Mark Lear present. He brought his banjo with him. We did a little interactive exercise. It was really entertaining, really good stuff. I think he actually made history exciting for most of the people in the group. And on top of that, we had a wonderful women's panel that included some pretty big name luminaries from the labor world. Stephanie Smith, the president of the BC GEU, Joey Hartman, the president of the Vancouver and District Labor Council, and of course, Irene Lanzinger, who is the president of the BC Federation of Labor. And hosting the panel was Chantel O'Neill, who works for the CLC, and she was kind enough to grant her own time there from maternity leave to come and do some work for us. Additionally, we had Shauna Walsh, our second vice, do the introductions, and that really had a real nice tie-in with our membership.
It was great. I was lucky enough to be part of the first Shop Stewards Convention ever, and I took the 4 courses. I thought maybe there'd be lots of time for me to have some fun afterwards, but you know, the courses were really heavy. I learned lots of stuff, and sometimes I even learned the little tiny simple things. And one of the simple things I learned was that the contract, our beautiful contract, is not just for us, it's for management as well. It's both of us that have agreed upon that. So something so simple that I came away with, it was great. And Graham, I want to thank you for letting me be part of that. It was an amazing week. Next, let's talk about the alert tour you had with John Wright.
Yeah, so that actually was front-ended before the conference. It was a 5-day tour, and we traveled from Victoria to Tsawwassen to Nanaimo to Denman and Hornby, back across to Comox, sailed from Comox to Westview down to Earls Cove, or Saltry Bay down to Earls Cove, Langdale and Horseshoe Bay. It was quite a tour. We managed to talk to probably over 100 members and some excluded folks about their thoughts and impressions of the alert system. And I think that we had some really good takeaways from where we can improve the alert system and hopefully get a better overall safety management system and safety culture at BC Ferries.
For the folks that don't know, John Wright, he's sort of the founder and the creator of the Sail Safe program with the company?
John Wright is an independent consultant from Wright Force, and he was brought on by BC Ferries after the sinking of the Queen of the North, when BC Ferries really went out to re-examine their safety culture and their safety management systems. And so he was kind enough to come back 10 years on and lend his voice to the project once more and help us assess how far we've come and what we could do better now.
That's awesome. Also, something that happened last week was the BC Federation of Labor conference, and we got involved in that as well.
Not next week, you're going. It's November, that's November, I think, 28th to December 2nd. And so if it happened and you weren't there, that's a problem. Even bigger problem if I wasn't there. But that should be
that's coming.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That should be a really good conference for us. We're very happy to be there in support of the current executive, Irene Lanzinger, who I mentioned earlier, and also Aaron Ekman. And we're excited to see what some of the resolutions coming to the conference floor are. I think the most important one for our members this round is that the BC GEU is moving to have the Pacific Coast Maritime Council, of which we are an affiliate, enshrined as a permanent chartered association to the BC Federation of Labor. And that's really good because that gives us another avenue to raise concerns to the House of Labor. I'm a vice president of the PCMC right now, and having that seat solidified and made permanent would be a very big deal, particularly for our brothers and sisters at the ILWU.
So there's a lot of new things that are coming up too, like I know the Canadian Labour Congress is having their winter school. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm sure most members are pretty familiar with the CLC Winter School at Harrison Hot Springs. And our union has traditionally had a very strong presence there. Considering the size of our union, typically we're overrepresented on any given week, which is a good thing. That means that we're sending our members out for higher quality education and for networking opportunities with other labor activists. This year, the courses that we're sending our members to are building health and safety activism, building psychologically healthy workplaces, bullying and harassment, critical incident stress, facing management effectively, and member engagement, member action, and there's a little star beside the word revised. I don't know what that means. Someone will get to find out, I'm sure. And one thing that we're particularly proud of this year as an executive, despite our failings in not having enough women at our executive table, we're sending 2 women for 2 additional seats at the Women in Leadership course. And I'm very excited to be offering that. And we're looking for a bunch of new faces to send this year as well. It's something I've heard over and over again. Why do we always send the same people? Well, I think this year we're going to try and make a real push to make sure it's a lot of new faces going.
It's awesome. It'll be great. And what a great thing we do for our members is to get them more classes and make them stronger advocates for all kinds of stuff. So Graham, something I've been hearing lots of rumbling about is the right to strike.
Oh, yes. So you would have been at Harrison when it was announced to the provincial executive that arbitrator John Hall came down with a ruling that says that 3402 as a provision of our collective agreement does not allow us the space to engage in strike action. After a review with our legal counsel, who is Craig Davis from Victory Square, the man who actually led the charge for the right to strike as it was considered in the Saskatchewan Federation of Labour case at the Supreme Court of Canada, what he had said to us was there was a certain process to move forward on challenging arbitrator Hall's decision, and that process would be based around the idea that we can't have opted out of a right that we weren't aware existed back in 2007 when that language was added to our collective agreement. And so we're going to move forward on that basis and challenge the decision. And it's very, very exciting time for this and for us in the labor movement, particularly after the Supreme Court made its ruling on the teachers' case.
That's amazing. Mix.
And for me, the most exciting part about that was it was a decision, a verbal decision handed down from the bench after 20 minutes of deliberation. And so what that means is the Supreme Court sent a strong message out to the judiciary that labor rights are to be broadly interpreted and that the courts are to be giving more deference to the Supreme Court rulings in the initial new trilogy of labor, it's called. And again, the Saskatchewan Federation of Labour case is one of those cases that set the boundaries for those considerations, and the lawyer who ran it is our lawyer, and the lawyers who won the teacher's case, also our lawyers.
Awesome news. It's something definitely we should be celebrating. Yeah, I got to meet Craig.
Not yet, my friend.
Yeah, but we're on the way. It's good news nonetheless.
Well, it's good news that we're pursuing a challenge, and I think our members should be excited about it because if we have an opportunity here to try and lead the charge in terms of getting stronger, better labor rights for folks as they're considered under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and that's a really big deal.
Mm-hmm. Graham, what about the CFOA conference?
Oh yes, that's the Canadian Ferry Operators Association conference, and thankfully it's they've changed the name. It's now just CFA. It's now just the Canadian Ferry Association. But you wouldn't have known that because that change happened in September at the conference. At the conference, we went there, we were able to see some interesting new ideas. It looks like industry is looking at what the future of ferries would look like, and they think a lot of that has to do with battery-powered ships, and in fact, even ships that don't have crews on them, which I know. We're pretty sure that's a long way away, but you could see some people really, rubbing their hands together and thinking about what a great idea that would be. I can assure you it's not a good idea.
But right now they're looking at that as an option for deep sea vessels, certainly not even close to that consideration for passenger vessels. That said, the future is always just right around the corner, so something to keep our eye on for sure.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that, I hope.
I should add though, At the back end of CFOA was a conference about the cable ferry, or cable ferry regulations. And really what that was about was the absence of cable ferry regulations. In our union, we were the only union invited, or I shouldn't say the only union invited, we were the only union who made it there. And we lended a very strong voice to the idea that there should be stronger, more consistent regulations around cable ferries, and we did our best to make sure that message was heard loud and clear.
Awesome, thank you. This is also Remembrance Day time.
It was just a couple days ago, Remembrance Day, and I was very honored and privileged to be able to drop a wreath on behalf of our union at the Cenotaph. I saw many of our members out for that occasion, and I know that our members take such events very seriously, particularly being seafarers who have strong connections to merchant marine and armed forces. It's something that our members take very seriously and hold in very high esteem, as they should. And so for me, it makes it even more of an honor and a privilege to be able to participate in that ceremony to the small degree I did.
And thank you for tuning in and getting to know a little bit more about what your union's been doing over the last few months. It was just a little snapshot. If we tried to show you everything, we'd be here for hours.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. And we'd like to hear more from you. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can call us toll free, or you can email us at mailroom@bcfmwu.com. Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon.